This programming is sponsored by S&P Global Platts, presenting the Financing U.S. Power Conference, focusing on ways to share October 27th through 29th, or at spglobal.com/financinguspower.
.org. My name is Josh Adams. I'm here tonight with Kyle Clark.
Yeah, thank you, Josh. Public media is not driven by ratings or ad dollars. It's powered by we listen to what our community needs and deliver. That's why we push local shows on every week in Houston Network, also on Houston. We responded to a need in the community. Now, with $2.2 million in federal support gone, we're depending on that people-powered model more than ever. So if you value NPR programming and value our local programs and our local news, this is your chance to make a real impact. Support the service you trust. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate.
And you hear us say it all the time, your support empowers public media. And that's true. It's not just about keeping the right support. It's about funding fact-based local reporting and funding stories that matter. Federal funding for public media now eliminated. Your donation to the science work is more important than ever. You can be a part of this important work. Make your donation today. HoustonPublicMedia.org or call 888-909-0887.
You know, maybe you've thought about giving. I understand you thought about it, but you haven't really taken that first step. Well, why wait? Get off the sidelines. Put me in, coach. Becoming a new member of Houston Public Media is easy. It's quick. Today, your support helps close the gap left by federal funding cuts. Join the community that values fact-based news and local storytelling. Make your first gift now. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate. You can also call 888-909-0887.
The truth is, this station only exists because listeners step up to support it. And most do it by giving just a few dollars a month, maybe $5 or $10 a month as a recurring gift. That funding keeps our local newsroom going, keeps our programs on the air, keeps our service free and accessible to everyone. You don't need to give a lot, whatever fits your budget, whatever's right for you. But please know, all those gifts, they add up and they all matter. Decide to support Houston Public Media and make a gift right now. You can call us 888-909-0887. You can also make a gift online at HoustonPublicMedia.org.
Our members, they give all kinds of ways. One-time gifts, monthly gifts, and every one of them plays a role in keeping this station strong. Your donation, no matter the size, helps pay for the trusted news and programs you count on. We use your gift efficiently and with purpose. So, to serve you and your community, make your gift now. HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate. You can also call 888-909-0887.
Yeah, the Resiliency Fund is about more recovery. It's how we keep Houston Public Media strong, how we keep it independent, how we keep it ready for anything. Our station's mission is to be the essential source for independent local journalism, storytelling, and programs that can inform, inspire, that can engage all Houstonians wherever and whenever they tune in. With your support, this mission alive. Build a community that's informed, inspired, and connected. Give today at HoustonPublicMedia.org or call 888-909-0887.
You know, there's a lot of noise out there. It's clickbait, headlines, half-truths, misinformation. It's spreading faster and faster than ever. And it can be tough to know what's real and what's not. That's why Houston Public Media is here, to give you trusted facts, not spin. You have a right to know what's going
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Ari Shapiro.
Since Robert F. Kennedy Jr. became health secretary, he's been making big changes to federal vaccine policies. He's shaken up the process for vaccine recommendations and reduced who will be eligible for COVID vaccines for a start. Many medical experts are concerned the administration will further limit vaccine access. NPR health correspondents Rob Stein and Ping Huang are here to talk about how these vaccine policies are playing out. Hey there, you two.
Hey there, Louise.
I want to start by just digging in on the COVID vaccines because they've been so much in the headlines these last several years. Rob, you kick us off. What is happening with the COVID vaccine?
Yeah, so that's the huge first change that the Trump administration made under Kennedy. The COVID vaccines were becoming like the flu shots. You know, everyone gets an updated jab at least once a year. But Kennedy and his team are now saying only people most likely to get really sick should routinely get vaccinated. Only people age 65 and older or who have some health issue. That means a lot of people, a healthy 14-year-old, a 40-year-old, even a 64-year-old are no longer on the list. And Mary Louise, that's not all. The CDC dropped the recommendation that pregnant women get vaccinated and is now telling parents, wait, talk to your pediatrician first about whether you should vaccinate your healthy kids or not. Kennedy announced all this in a video on X.
I couldn't be more pleased to announce that as of today, the COVID vaccine for healthy children and healthy pregnant women has been removed from the CDC recommended immunization schedule.
And that was a real bombshell.
Hold on and stay on that word for a second. Bombshell. Why is it a bombshell? Is it bad policy? Hank?
Well, this policy change really goes against what a lot of medical experts were thinking, especially the part about pregnant women who can get really sick from COVID. And also vaccinating pregnant women can protect their babies as well. And we know that COVID can be as dangerous to the youngest kids as it is to older people. Now, on the other hand, the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention had already been considering changing COVID vaccine policy to only recommend shots for people at higher risk of severe COVID.
And you know, Mary Louise, the administration argues that so many people have so much immunity now that it makes sense to stop and rethink this, and that this will help rebuild trust in vaccines by the government requiring new evidence before telling most healthy people they still really need to keep getting shot after shot. And this would bring the U.S. in line with how lots of other countries do it. And the administration estimates that as many as 200 million Americans would still be eligible because they have, say, a weak immune system, obesity, heart disease, even just sedentary lifestyles.
So, what kind of reaction are y'all hearing, Kate?
Yeah, well, in the public health community, some people are super alarmed about it, mostly because of the way it was done. So in the case of the COVID vaccines, it was RFK Jr. deciding who should and shouldn't be getting them and announcing it to the world, which bypasses this sort of, multi-step expert vetting process that's been going on for decades in terms of how this gets done. So that was sort of the first thing, and then that was followed shortly by another move last month when RFK Jr. fired all 17 members of the CDC's Vaccine Advisory Committee. Now, you've probably heard of this. This is a group of outside experts that usually have backgrounds in vaccines, immunology, pediatrics, and he's replaced them so administration is to question the safety and efficacy of vaccines, even when that's been demonstrated over and over again. Changes that actually undermines public trust, which was already declining, and it also undermines people's willingness to get vaccines.
So just step back, Rob Stein, and setting aside the issues of undermining or building public trust, what are the actual real-world implications of these shifts?
Yeah, so even though most people don't bother getting vaccinated against COVID anymore, many people still do want the shots, and RFK Jr.'s changes would mean that insurance would be required to pay for vaccinating some people, like pregnant women, healthy, younger adults, and even possibly kids. Now, insurers might decide they want to anyway, but it would be a big change and adds to the uncertainty. I talked about this with Jennifer Nuzzo, who runs Brown University's Pandemic Center.
All of this is just unacceptable. It shouldn't be the case that people have to actively wonder whether they are eligible for a vaccine and whether they'll be able to get it.
People could still get vaccinated by paying for the shots themselves, but COVID shots are expensive, about $200 for each jab. Doctors' offices may stop stocking the vaccines. Pharmacists may be unable or unwilling to give you a shot because federal authorities aren't recommending it for you anymore.
And then what about beyond the COVID vaccine? What about other vaccines? What changes are you tracking, Peg?
Yeah, so currently, in addition to the changes that we've been talking about with the COVID vaccines, HHS has also banned seasonal flu vaccines that contain thimerosal, that's a mercury-based preservative. And honestly, it's not a very big practical change, but it's being seen as a victory among people who have long questioned the safety of vaccines and have been pushing for many years this disproven theory that thimerosal causes autism. And there's also more on the horizon. Martin Kulldorff, who we heard from earlier, that's the Vaccine Advisory Committee chair, he made it clear that they're looking into the whole way we vaccinate kids, with an eye towards reducing or spreading out the number of vaccines that kids get. And he also questioned specifically the need for the hepatitis B vaccine, which is currently recommended for all infants at birth.
Well, so I guess this leaves me wondering, where does this leave us? Where do things go from here, Peg?
Well, we're at a crossroads. The government is changing how they're making vaccine policy, and professional medical groups are saying, we like the way things were made before. We want that to continue. So they're actually banding together to create separate guidelines, which means that the public is going to be hearing some mixed messages going forward, and states may actually start having very different policies from each other.
And PR Health correspondents Peg Baum and Rob Stein, thanks to you both.
You're welcome.
You bet.
You're listening to All Things Considered from NPR News.
Thanks for listening to News 88.7. This is not a typical campaign that you normally hear on Christian public media. This is an emergency. We've lost $4.4 million in funding across the next 2 years. This on-air fundraiser is our way of staying strong for you in the community. Now, public media matters to you. Local journalism, trusted programming matter. There's never been a more urgent time to give. Make your gift now. HoustonPublicMedia.org. Good evening.
allied countries. Jewel Burke-Solomon is a managing partner at Collab Capital. She says all this might speed up AI innovation in the U.S.
What this is striving to do is to ensure that the U.S. wins the AI race, and so taking a lot of the guardrails down so that tech companies can really move fast. But obviously, those of us who are in this AI space know that there has to be some safeguards in place. So it's a little bit scary for folks like me who have been looking at these AI problems for a long time, understanding the bias that exists when these systems run without any regulation. It's a little bit frightening that we're moving so quickly and that there's this support from the Trump administration to take away some of what has historically been safeguards in this space.
The goal of this AI action plan is supposed to be to advance AI innovation in the United States to sort of win this global AI race. How do you see this plan in pursuit of that goal, and whether or not you think it's going to benefit our digital economy?
I see, again, this plan, I think it is going to achieve the goal of helping things move more quickly. I think the big focus of this is to eliminate regulation, make it easier for data centers to be built in service of for energy for AI models to continue to be built as well. Obviously, it's promoting the U.S. semiconductor and related manufacturing. It's doing all of these things to help ensure that America wins the AI race. So I think it probably will help in those ways, because obviously the regulation that was previously in place or being pursued would kind of help curtail or slow things down just a bit. But if the goal is for us to win, I think eliminating regulation will help us get to whatever ultimate destination we're trying to get to more quickly. But there is still this big question of if we're going to get there safely and if people are going to be taken care of in that pursuit. So I think we always have to think about what is the impact going to be to communities. There's a big conversation right now going on in Memphis, for an example, around these data centers being built without a lot of consideration for the environmental impacts. And that's just one example of the types of questions that we need to be asking and interrogating that these new executive orders really didn't contemplate at all.
That was Jewel Burke-Solomon at Collab Capital. This conversation was part of our Tech Week in Review segment. You can find it on our website, marketplace.org/techbytes. Jesus Alvarado produced this episode. Daniel Shin also produces our show. Gary O'Keefe is our engineer. Daisy Palacios is the supervising producer. Nancy Fargali is the executive producer. I'm Kimberly Evans, and that's Marketplace Tech. This is APM.
And this is Houston Public Media News 88.7. We know you've been following us all week. When we come to you with this fundraiser, it wouldn't be live if it wasn't that important. Houston Public Media is fundraising for the Resiliency Fund. And this fund's meant to help bridge the gap of the $4 million federal support that's being brought. That has a major effect on our ability to provide the news, education, the local programming that you count on every day. Now, this fund's purpose is to protect our mission, our community, and the trusted content we deliver. Please consider making a gift to the Resiliency Fund. Do it online at HoustonPublicMedia.org or call 888-909-0887.
You've tuned to NPR during big national moments and to Houston Public Media for local stories that hit really close to home. Well, $2.2 billion annual federal support now gone. Your support through the Resiliency Fund is how we preserve these trusted programs, including over 20 hours of local content each and every week. You can give right now. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate. Call us at 888-909-0887.
Listen, we know that you trust us for stories that make sense of the world. Today, we're asking you to take the next step and make your gift to Houston Public Media. With federal funding now gone, your support of this resiliency fund is critical. Donations may help support reporting, conversation, conversations that you rely on, and it makes sure everyone in Greater Houston has access to this important information. Make your gift today. You can make it online at HoustonPublicMedia.org, or you can call 888-909-0887.
We know that you value Houston Public Media. That's why you're listening. Now, take that next step and become a new member. Your first gift helps to fill the funding gap that's been left by federal cuts and keeps public media strong for all. It only takes a minute to make a difference. Join us today. Join the community today at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
And hey, what keeps this station going? That's members like you. Members give each month to keep our mission alive. Many members give us about $10 a month, but maybe you can afford more. Maybe $50 a month feels right, or $100 a month. It all adds up for us, and it means that something powerful is happening. The local newsroom, programs you count on, and a public service that's free and accessible to everyone. Your monthly gift in any amount, as I said, it makes it all possible. Make your gift right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org or call 888-909-0887.
That's right. This station is not funded by ads, commercials, or even shareholders. It's funded by you, by our community who believes in Houston Public Media's mission and giving what they can. Whether that's a monthly gift or a one-time donation, like Josh said, it all adds up. Your support helps cover the cost of a local newsroom, the shows you love, and the programs you come to rely on to keep you informed, inspired, and connected. Make your gift right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Houston Public Media has stayed true to its mission to be an essential source for independent local journalism, storytelling, and programs that inform, inspire, and engage all Houstonians wherever and whenever they tune in. This resiliency fund, it helps ensure that this mission continues. Support the station you rely on and do it today. Do it right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Call 888-909-0887.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like the loudest voices get the most attention. At Houston Public Media, we focus on facts, not noise. We work hard to keep you informed in a clear, honest way. You have a right to know what's really happening in our world, and we're here to make sure that you do. Your support of the Resiliency Fund keeps clear, honest journalism available to everyone, even without that federal funding. But you can help protect this vital service. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
The Houston Public Media Resiliency Fund, it exists because this community believes in facts, believes in transparency, believes in local storytelling. A gift of $5,000 or more will put you on our Affinity Council. That's a group of supporters who keep public media strong and future-focused, even without federal funding. Join the Affinity Council. You can support Houston Public Media by calling right now, 888-909-0887. You can also join the Affinity Council online at HoustonPublicMedia.org.
Yeah, free access to trusted information is more important now than ever, and you have a right to know what's happening in your community. Your support helps keep that possible. Your support of the Resiliency Fund helps keep Houston Public Media on the air in the future. You can support. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call 888-909-0887.
Support for NPR comes from NPR members customers can see options and rates side by side. More at Progressive.com or 1-800-PROGRESSIVE. Hey, Sam, right after Jacinto Ford on the northbound side is gone, 99 westbound still have the record check enforced. This is KUHF Houston News 88.7, a service of the University of Houston at 6:01.
Live from NPR News in Washington, I'm Kristen Wright. The Trump administration is releasing billions in federal education grants after withholding them for review earlier this month. NPR's Sequoia Carrillo reports the Department of Education says it'll disperse the money to states next week.
The money, over $5 billion worth, is typically distributed on July 1st. But this year, in an unprecedented move, the administration withheld the previously approved funds for review. The decision left many districts scrambling in the lead up to the school year. Lawmakers from both sides of the aisle lobbied to release the funds immediately, citing financial strain on states and local communities. A letter from Republican senators prompted the release of a portion of the money earlier this week, but with a new announcement, all funds frozen will now flow to schools. Sequoia Carrillo, NPR News.
President Trump is in Scotland, where he's said to have trade talks with European leaders. The White House is giving countries until next Friday to reach deals before new tariffs take effect. Meanwhile, corporate America is out with new earnings numbers. NPR's Maria Aspen reports the impacts of new import taxes on profits is mixed.
More than 100 of the country's largest companies reported earnings just this week, and we've seen some big household names, like car maker General Motors, warning that President Trump's new tariffs are eating into their business. Or there was Chipotle saying that customers are losing confidence in the economy, and so they're buying fewer burrito bowls. On the other hand, some companies are having a great summer. For example, big tech companies like Google and Netflix, and banks like JPMorgan Chase beat analyst expectations and made a ton of money in the last 3 months.
Trump says he's meeting with European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen on Sunday to work out a trade deal. California is considering a state ban on the use of masks by law enforcement officers in response to federal agents who conceal their faces as they enforce immigration law. NPR's Martin Costi says it's unclear whether the state can restrict federal agents in this way.
The California Assembly is considering a bill limiting when law enforcement officers in the state may conceal their faces on the job. It's prompted by federal agents wearing masks as they detain people on immigration charges. Berkeley Law School Dean Erwin Chemerinsky says the feds would likely challenge the state's power to regulate immigration agents.
Federal officers generally have to follow state laws. They have to stop at red lights and stop signs. They can be sued under state law if they use excessive force. I don't think that law enforcement generally needs to wear masks.
Department of Homeland Security officials say federal agents need to protect themselves from activists who put their photos online, which they say may lead to threats against them and their families. Martin Costi, NPR News.
You're listening to NPR News from Washington.
Live from News 88.7 in Houston, I'm Tom Perumian. A torrential downpour is dumping heavy sheets of water all over southeast Houston as we speak. The squall is starting to lighten up in areas around UH, but the amount of rain is significant and will likely cause flooding along low spots like underpasses and low-lying streets. Heavy downpours are making visibility on area roads a problem. Watch out for people, stray animals, children, and other drivers if you are out in the rain. A ground stop has been issued for Bush Airport at this time due to the ferocity of the squall. Bush is not expected to restart flights until at least 6:30 this evening. Meanwhile, Hobby Airport is operating with delays of 15 or more minutes on departures. Now, taking a look at your weather. Tonight, mostly cloudy with a chance of showers, a low of 77 degrees. Saturday, showers likely, otherwise mostly cloudy, a high of 1. I'm Tom Perumian, News 88.7.
My name is Josh Adams, and this week we have been asking for your support. It's because this moment is unlike any other. Houston Public Media is facing a $4.4 million budget shortfall.
at the UH campus and 606.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Elsa Chang in Culver City, California.
And I'm Ari Shapiro in Washington. Article 1 of the Constitution gives Congress the power of the purse. Lawmakers are supposed to decide how the government collects and spends money. But President Trump has spent the last 6 months pushing the boundaries of that power, as some of his top officials look to exert more control over federal spending. NPR senior White House correspondent Tamara Keith and congressional correspondent Deirdre Walsh are following the push and pull between the two branches, and they are here in the studio. Good to have you both here. Happy Friday.
Good to be here.
Tam, are we at the point now where we can say there is a Trump doctrine for government spending?
Well, we can say that Trump's approach to government spending is much like his broader approach to governing in the second term. He is testing the limits of executive power. He is seeking wins for himself. That involves blowing past norms and what was thought to be established law, doing everything he can through executive orders, Elon Musk's Doge project, through political force. The head of President Trump's budget office, Russell Vogt, has a maximalist view about executive power, and he has a very clear agenda. He spoke last week at a breakfast I attended that was put on by the Christian Science Monitor.
We're not saying that the power of the purse does not belong to Congress. It absolutely does. It is one of the most constitutional, foundational principles. But it's a ceiling. It is not a floor. It is not the notion that you have to spend every last dollar of that.
So programs that don't fit with Trump's ideology, whole government agencies, have seen their funding and operations put on hold by the Trump administration. And Trump and Vogt are really just trying out a lot of ideas that fiscal hardliners previously only theorized might be possible.
Vogt is such an interesting figure here because he's not a household name, but he's hugely influential. Deirdre, tell us more about him.
He is, and he's had a long career in Washington, both on Capitol Hill and in Trump's first term in office. He's most recently better known for Project 2025. He was the co-author of that, which ended up essentially becoming a roadmap for Trump's term in office. And that document really argues for a consolidation of power within the executive branch.
And so how is that mapping onto what we've seen so far?
Well, at that breakfast, Vogt said something that is really quite stunning, given the dynamics in Congress, where annual appropriations bills have long required bipartisan support to pass.
The appropriations process has to be less bipartisan.
Less bipartisan, which is a heck of a thing to say with government funding running out at the end of September.
Right, and you need 60 votes in the Senate to pass anything, which means you didn't need Democrats.
Well, setting aside Democrats for a moment, are Republicans even on board with this not bipartisan strategy?
Right, not all agree with Vogt. I talked to several Senate Republicans, and there's definitely a split. Some say Republicans in Congress were elected to slash spending, so they're all in. They want more rescissions bills, like this one that was just approved by Congress last week that clawed back $9 billion for foreign aid and public
Constitution and Article 1, which means that Republicans can't keep playing switcheroo.
You know, Van Hollen says Republicans backtracking on deals that they made in March with Democrats means there's just a lack of trust.
And trust is a real issue. I spoke with Andrew Rudalevich about this. He's a professor of government at Bowdoin College. He says this particular rescission package was specifically designed to be hyper palatable for Republicans in Congress, but it risks poisoning the budget process. Because why would anyone agree to provide the votes to pass a budget on a bipartisan basis if that money can just be clawed back on a partisan basis?
I think the damage is really on the side of believing congressional leadership when they cut a deal. If the ultimate result will be this series of accepting the administration's post hoc cuts.
It seems like every year we talk about Congress failing to fund the federal government, facing the threat of a shutdown. Is Congress even using the power it has?
Not effectively. As you say, it's really become the norm to just pass these stopgap bills or throw a bunch of bills into one massive spending package that people don't read. It's been decades since Congress has actually passed all 12 bills that spell out how the government should be funded. But when they punt and just pass these stopgap bills, Congress does end up giving the executive branch much more latitude on how to spend all of this federal money.
That's NPR's Deirdre Walsh and Tamara Keith. Thank you both.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Ari.
Good evening. You know, this is an important time for Houston Public Media. We don't come to you with an on-air campaign offer, but today we have to. Federal funding has been cut as part of last week's recession package. In fact, Houston Public Media is facing a $2.2 million annual shortfall. That's why we're in this emergency program and why your gift matters so much right now. If you've ever thought about supporting this station, this is the moment. Make your gift at HoustonPublicMedia.org. You can also make a gift by calling us, 888-909-0887. As I said, my name is Josh Adams. I'm here tonight with Kyle Claude.
Thank you, Josh. You know, that $2 million was more than just another line in a budget. It was part of how we were serving you in the past and how we plan to serve you in the future. But it's now gone. Without it, we're counting on listener support, listeners like you, so that we can stay strong and independent. Your support matters now.
Let me tell you, it will. It absolutely will make a difference. Make a gift right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org. You can call 888-909-0887.
Yeah, our station is made up of gifts of all sizes. I want to make it clear that every single gift matters. It doesn't matter what the size is. If it's a one-time gift or a monthly contribution, every gift to this station will be used efficiently and into providing programs stories that you rely on. Make your gift right now at HoustonPublicMedia.org
mission strong, and it helps us realize our vision of a well-informed, engaged community. Give today at Houston Public
Where misinformation spreads fast, and it's hard to know what is true and what is not. At Houston Public Media, we take the time to fact check, to verify, to dig deeper so you can trust what you hear. The Resiliency Fund helps ensure this vital work continues, especially after the loss of federal funding that's affecting our station. Protect your access to accurate, reliable information. Please support the Resiliency Fund now. You can go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or give us a call. That number is 888-909-0887.
You know what? Big gifts make a difference too. Big gifts can be transformative. If you might be in a position to make a significant gift, your leadership can help fill that $2.2 million annual gap left by the federal funding cuts. Maybe a gift of $5,000 or more. It could ensure that Houston Public Media stays strong and it welcomes you into our Affinity Council, where your support helps chart the future of independent media. Give now at HoustonPublicMedia.org, and at that $5,000 level, you'll become a part of our Affinity Council. You can also donate by calling us at 888-909-0887. Any gift in any size makes a difference. Thank you.
Support comes from Children's Museum of Houston, presenting Faithful Friends, an exhibit exploring understanding and friendship, where kids discover that while faiths and beliefs may differ, kindness and friendship are universal. More at cmhouston.org.
Support also comes from members like you from Uptown Appliance, serving the Houston and Dallas areas with appliance services for multiple brands. Technicians provide long-term care and service on uptownappliance.com. And from Baylor College of Medicine, creating tomorrow's medicine today. Known for their medical research and innovation, Baylor pushes boundaries through health discoveries and pursuit to improve the health. And on the Grand Parkway, still have a wreck on the westbound side right around Champions Forest, and you're going to be on brakes from around Beach Road. We're seeing some pretty heavy rain right now north of I-10 and through the eastern parts of Harris County as well. We'll keep an eye on that for you. It's 6:20.
Support for NPR comes from the station and from Fisher Investments. Fisher is committed to helping clients stay on track to reach their financial goals and enjoy a comfortable retirement. FisherInvestments.com. Investing in securities involves the risk of loss. From Indeed, committed to giving job listings increased visibility with relevant candidates through its sponsored jobs feature. Learn more at Indeed.com/NPR. And from the John D. and Catherine T. MacArthur Foundation at macfound.org.
This is All Things Considered from NPR News. I'm Ari Shapiro.
And I'm Elsa Chang. Earlier this week, UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres said that Gaza is seeing, quote, a level of death and destruction without parallel in recent times. A UN official says a third of Palestinians in Gaza are going without food for days at a time. About 100,000 women and children are suffering severe acute malnutrition because of the blockade by Israel. Kieran Donnelly is a senior vice president of the International Rights Network. He still has staff on the ground in Gaza. We were hoping to speak with one of those aid workers earlier today, but just as our conversation was set to begin, he had to flee to safety because of Israeli airstrikes. So thank you so much for stepping up to speak with us.
Thank you.
I want to first ask about your colleagues on the ground, because I know the IRC is one of the very few organizations still in position in Gaza to try to keep providing aid. What are you hearing personally from your colleagues?
We're deeply worried, as you can imagine, about our colleagues on the ground, most of whom are Palestinian colleagues that are from Gaza, working in among their communities. For many months now, we've been hearing about their concerns for their safety and the safety of their families. But in recent weeks, we've also been hearing about their very real concerns of being able to provide sufficient food for themselves and for their families, particularly elderly parents and children that they're taking care of. They're telling us that they work for an international humanitarian organization. Neighbors and communities are coming to them looking for food. provide services, but also creates preconditions for releasing hostages and for creating dialogue ultimately to find a way out of this horrific situation that has beleaguered the population of Gaza for almost 2 years now.
Carol Donald is a senior vice president of the International Rescue Committee. Thank you very much for giving us your time today.
Thank you.
Coral nurseries might help replenish struggling reefs. As ocean waters warm, established reefs turn white. That's the algae inside them dying in a process known as bleaching. Eric Douglas with West Virginia Public Broadcasting recently got a chance to visit one of the largest
we're about to explore.
Aware of your body positioning, be aware of your buoyancy, make sure all your noses are tucked in.
There was a light top of the season when our gear got ready to make the dive. We descend toward a shallow sandy area about 20 feet below the boat. There we find the coral nursery. It covers an acre and a half of seafloor with what looks like a forest made from PVC pipe trees. They're about 6 feet tall and anchored to the seafloor. There are corals sprouting from every tree limb. The white plastic branches hold 20 different coral species of about every shape imaginable.
The corals we're working with are already the survivors of decades of local stress.
That's Roxanne Boonstra with the Coral Restoration Foundation that manages this nursery. They started with corals from long reefs that showed resiliency against the changing ocean.
A lot of different bleaching events, a lot of different stress events overall. And so the corals we work with, they already are the tough ones.
Corals reproduce in the land-based nursery until they are ready to move to the ocean. They swim slowly up and down rows of coral trees, but they're not just ready to look at.
Coral reefs cover less than 1% of the ocean floor, but they support at least 25% of all marine species.
And that's why there is so much emphasis on helping them recover from bleaching events. The most recent worldwide bleaching event was in 2023 and 2024, when tropical ocean waters reached record temperatures. Marine scientist Alex Brodsky, who authored the book Beneath the Blue Planet, A Diver's Guide to the Ocean, saw back-to-back bleaching events in the Florida Keys. He says they were so vast that he doubts coral nurseries could really have a major impact.
I just saw that it's so destructive that transplanting corals from point A to point B wouldn't make, I don't think it would really make a difference.
But Roxanne Boonstra remains hopeful that it will make a difference. And as research struggling, hundreds of coral nurseries like this one are operating around the world. She wants to help the oceans, which provide 50% of the world's oxygen.
A lot of the oxygen that we're breathing on a daily basis comes from our healthy oceans, and coral reefs are a critical component of our healthy oceans.
Keeping the oceans healthy may take more than coral nurseries, but they provide a glimpse into one way humans can help. For NPR News, I'm Eric Douglas, off the Florida Keys.
And at 6:29, you've been listening to All Things Considered on your NPR station, News 87. We've got rain here at the UH campus, 87 degrees and a whole lot of rain. Looking at the map, we are showing pretty widespread showers.
same mission we've always strived towards. Your support matters more than ever. Give today at HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us 888-909-0887.
You know, right now, you have the chance to be a part of something bigger. Your gift brings a future. Independent news is strong. Always have access to information. The impact that you make today is going to help create the kind of community where facts matter, people are informed. This is your opportunity to stand up for trusted journalism. Make your contribution to the Resiliency Fund now at HoustonPublicMedia.org. Call 888-909-0887.
Listen to this station. We value the service and information we provide. Take the next step. Make your first donation. Become a member of Houston Public Media, and it starts with just a single gift. And right now, that gift helps fill the gap that's been left by federal funding. Join the community that keeps public media strong. Give to the Resiliency Fund today. You can do it online. Go to HoustonPublicMedia.org/donate or call us at 888-909-0887.
You know, the majority of our members, they give about $10 a month. Some give more. They give $50 a month. Some maybe even $100 a month. Every single gift matters. It all adds up to keep this station strong. Donations go directly to pay Houston Public Media expenses. That includes the newsroom that reports local stories, programs, the facilities, the operations, all of it. Your gift can matter right now. HoustonPublicMedia.org.
effect. Some folks forecasted it will. In the data, we are seeing beginning, we've seen consumers who are very worried about the effect this is going to have on their bottom line, and so it's affecting sentiment.
And the other thing we're starting to see, at least that appears to be making itself clear, is that give or take-ish, the baseline tariff rate in this economy now is going to be 15%, which on the face of it, that's what the president has said, 50 and 145%. You know, 15% sounds pretty good, but it's like 10 times what it was on the 20th of January. And I guess with an eye toward August the 1st, that's going to be the new one.
Objective, and we're seeing him talk about that less and less. And then the third thing is leverage, and that's the thing that
asked a lot of questions, and Miss Maxwell answered every single question. She never stopped, she never invoked a privilege, she never declined to answer. She answered all the questions truthfully, honestly, and to the best of her ability.
Okay, so he's saying she didn't plead the fifth. This wasn't one of those Biden cognitive decline depositions where everybody was like, hell no, I ain't speaking. No, she got in there and she apparently told him everything, which is, whew, this could get going. That being said, Mike Johnson did kind of cast some doubt on her testimony. Here it is, clip 17.
If they see fit to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell for testimony, that's fine. I will note the obvious concern, the caveat that Chairman Comer and I and everyone has, that could she be counted on to tell the truth? Is she a credible witness? I mean, this is a person who's been sentenced to many, many years in prison for terrible, unspeakable conspiratorial acts and acts against innocent young people. I mean, can we trust what she's going to say? Even if she raises her hand and says that she'll testify under oath, is that something that can be trusted? You know, that's a reasonable question. Is that credible evidence? I don't know.
And to be clear, this is one of those moments where people have to separate their feelings from their facts. Because everybody who wants to believe she's sitting on some list that's going to bring down half of the Illuminati is going to believe every word that comes out of her mouth because it's going to confirm their own confirmation bias. Whereas everybody who's looking at it in the other direction will say, no, she's a convicted sex trafficker. How the hell do you trust her? And the truth is, if we were going to be on the factual side of the argument, you really can't trust her. I mean, if you were looking at documentation that was produced prior to her arrest and it was introduced as evidence, yes, okay, you could look at that, okay? But again, there would still be the concern that things or books were kept in a certain way to throw people off the scent of what they were really up to. And yes, I don't discount the fact that there could be a smoking gun. But could I give you a prediction? Because my predictions on the show are usually pretty good. It's, you know, if only they were better in my gambling days. I wouldn't have spent so much time in a blonde wig powdering my Adam's apple, turning tricks behind Port Authority. But stick with me here, come on. Jimmy's being silly, pull it together. What I think is going to happen is this. I think they tried to put this story to bed and realized, back in February when Pam Bondi put together those Epstein binders and said phase one clearly connotates that there is more information to come. If you're putting phase one on a binder, it's because we're all going to get phase two. Wrong. Okay, yes, as it turns out, there is no phase two, which was, a little embarrassing and didn't really hurt the president. He's polling better with the Republican Party than he ever has. So it's not a real world issue the way it's a Twitter issue. That being said, the Democrats are trying to make it a real world issue. They're trying to cast aspersions on the character of Donald Trump. And if you are, an objective observer of politics, you will enter into the ledger the fact that if the Democrats who are pushing to want this list out wanted it out, they could have done so when they controlled the Senate and the House. So are the Democrats really hoping you get the Epstein list? The answer would be no. The answer would be no. They don't want it out there. It's not good for them. I don't know why, but it's not good for them. If it was good for them, they would have released it. They could have released it. Under multiple presidencies, they did not release it. Okay, that being said, on the Republican side of the aisle, something has told the Republicans they don't want to release it. We've read reporting that Trump could be on the list because of his association with Epstein. I don't doubt that's true. Okay, but I don't believe Trump is on the list in a way that would really constitute something criminal and nefarious, because nothing is beneath the Democrats when it comes to stopping this guy. At this point, I mean it, they would rather whack Trump politically than protect the Clintons. They would. There's no way around that. The Clintons are no longer viable. They can fundraise, but they're not going to be president, okay? He's whatever he is. He served 2 terms. He looks like he's in his late hundreds, and she's whatever she's doing, taking Xanax and going to shock treatment. But the point is, I think at this point, if they had the goods on Trump, you'd see them. If they can leak Supreme Court decisions, they can leak anything. If the intel community wants it out there in an untraceable manner, they get their way. Understand right now, we're living in an America where they're so good at manipulating the news cycle. And I don't know if it's done intentionally or not. I just mean they're so good at letting the tide roll in and out in a way that allows the powers that be to get what they want. That the biggest mass shooting in the history of this country, we don't actually know anything about it. That happened out in Las Vegas, the Mandalay Bay. We have no idea what happened. The guy had a weapons cache that's bigger than most third world countries. Certainly bigger than what the Europeans were spending on their military for NATO before Trump got involved. Got 26 caches of weapons in a Vegas hotel room. Okay, think about that. Kicks open the window, shoots everybody imaginable to this day. We don't even know. And why don't we know? People have asked, but they're like, shut up. You don't need to know. And I don't know what it means. I don't know. I don't even know what direction to look in. But the point is, when it comes to this Epstein stuff, what I think happened was they made a determination that we weren't going to know much. I don't know. Maybe we couldn't, maybe we shouldn't. I don't have that answer. But when they rolled out a strategy last month of Trump going, you guys are still talking about this? Who even cares? And they tried to move on. I said to you that day, I said, this is the movie Chinatown. I know they said there's an Epstein list and they're about to release it. And I know they're now on TV saying there was never a list in the first place. And that looks insane to all of us. And a lot of us have questions. I said, this is basically their way of telling us, you don't forget it, Jake. It's Chinatown. You don't get to know. And now I think what's happening is the blowback was so intense that what they're ultimately doing is ramping up the production value of moving on. What do I mean by that? They're essentially bringing in Maxwell to testify. Trump said at the White House today, there's a list. I'll give you a list right now. The House committee voted to release the Epstein documents. They're bringing in the Clintons. It really sounds like we're going to get something out of this. But all it's essentially doing is allowing them to move on from the story in a way that makes it look like there was a far greater effort to give us some transparency.
He's a lousy dad, but he's right.
I'm telling you, that's what's going on. This is not going to end with some bombshell. Ghislaine Maxwell takes down half the royal family and the Clintons take a perp walk. I don't see it that way. My prediction is you question her on a bunch of things, and the takeaway from our government is she's not credible enough to be called as any type of a witness, ergo we're just going to let her rot in jail. And I think that's where the thing's going to end. I don't think we're going to get the docs because, to be clear, if they benefit from doing something, it happens. If they don't benefit from doing something, it doesn't happen. That's how it works when you're the most powerful people in the world. Now, sometimes things go sideways. You think you're going to get something right. You get it. That's fine. But when it comes to information, like delicate, classified, the balance of power in the world is hanging in the balance information. You know, the people who control it usually get what they want. So I don't act that would be my prediction. And if Maxwell does come out and speak, yeah, if she says negative things about Trump, every single Democrat is going to be like, that's the gospel. That woman is a Shakespeare. She knows, you know. But if she comes out and says, nah, you know, Trump hung around, but he thought Jeffrey was a dirtbag and he got rid of the guy, every level's going to be like, she's a convicted sex trafficker. Who would believe a word she says? And the same thing's going to happen on the right, just so you understand. If she gives you what you want on the Clintons and Prince Andrew and anybody else, Bill Gates, that's rumored to have hung out there, you're going to be all over her testimony. Okay, but if she slanders your guy, you're going to be like, this lying whore. And that's the biggest problem with right now. When the whole thing hinges on the word of a convicted sex trafficker, there's really no way to put this to bed where we all win or we come to some type of objective truth. But to be clear, this story isn't even about us. It's not about whether we win. It's about whether they win. So what I think we're getting, long story short, to keep it in Chinatown parlance, is a Hollywood no. Out in Hollywood, there is something that was explained to me by an agent who worked at CIA at the time. I was just a cab driver. I didn't know that, but she had gotten in and she was really bubbly. I said, hey, wow, you guys are a little perky in the back seat today. What's going on? And she was like, oh, it's my agent. It's her birthday. And I was like, oh, happy birthday, agent. And the other girl was an actress of some sort. I didn't know who she was. They were leaving 30 Rock right here in Midtown. And I said, what's going on your birthday? And they were going out to get some, it was not Ruby Foods. What was the other place? Right by, oh man, right next to Carolyn, Rue 57. They're going to Rue 57. It's on 57th and 6th. It's still there to this day. So I was taking them over to Rue 57. They're like, it's a birthday, you know, we're going to go get drinks, all the fun stuff. Company card, here we go. And as we were driving over there, I had told her about a screenplay that I had given to a pretty prominent Hollywood actor. And I said, wow, you know, it's really funny. I gave the guy a script. The next time I ran into him, he was like, I love it. It's so good. How do you guys come up with this stuff? Like, I'm really blown away. And I was like, wow, I mean, is this good news or bad news? I said, because I haven't heard from him in a year. She goes, that means he gave you a Hollywood no. And I was like, what does a Hollywood no mean? In Hollywood, people are always mindful of the fact that anyone they reject could wind up being their boss an hour from now on a project. You know, actor comes into an audition, you're like, you suck, get out of here. You don't want to take your clothes off on the casting couch, who needs you? But lo and behold, 2 weeks later, they're the biggest star in the world. Things happen fast in Hollywood. And the point is, sometimes people cover their own asses by not telling people no. They give them a yes that's actually a no. What that means is, you go, yeah, I love this project, it's great, we got to do it. But they don't ever return your calls. That being said, the next time you run into them, in the back of your mind, they did say yes, so you don't want to be like, you got some nerve, and throw a drink at them. You want to hope against hope that they just forgot about you, but now that they saw you, they're going to make the project. At which point they go, yeah, that's right, that thing, whatever happened to that thing? Where you been? We got to make that script, right? And you're like, oh my God. And the guy leaves the party and doesn't talk to you again for 10 years. That's how it works. It's called a Hollywood no. And I think that's what's ultimately happening with the Epstein list. You know how I said it's Chinatown and you can figure it out, the facts don't add up, you've got the smoking gun in your hand, and you go, wait, why is nobody giving me what I want here? And they're like, forget it, Jake, it's Chinatown. And I think that's what we're ultimately dealing with when it comes to Epstein. There was a promise of a list, and we're like, oh, yay, a list. And then time just came by, and there was no list. Now there's a promise of an investigation. They're like, oh, yay, an investigation. Now where's this going to go? Then they're subpoenaing the Clintons, like, oh, yeah, they're doing a thing we wanted. I don't know where that's going to go. Then the House voted to actually release the Epstein documents. You're like, oh, yeah, but now the House just went on recess till September. Okay, the point is, when it comes to Epstein and all of his Hollywood panel people and power people and big tech titans and heads of state and everything else, else, there's a reason we're not actually getting the substance on this. And that, I believe, is why we're getting this ramped up campaign to tell us more or to convince us that they want to tell us more, because it's just the world's fanciest Hollywood no.
What can I tell you, kid? You're right. You're right. You're right. You're right.
He's the host you shouldn't get too close to.
There's a lot of things about me you don't know anything about, Daddy. Things you wouldn't understand. Things you couldn't understand. Things you shouldn't understand.
Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon.
Hello, everyone. For all of you who suffer from calcium oxalate stones, here is some free advice. Tip 1, drink plenty of water. It takes a lot of water to dilute and pass the substances that lead to stones. Tip 2, modify your diet. You'll need to limit sodium, cut your meat.
Tired of difficult lifestyle changes that often don't work? If you suffer from calcium oxalate stones, now there's help. Kidney Cop, Calcium Oxalate Protector. Add Kidney Cop to your routine as a way to potentially reduce or even stop the formation of calcium oxalate stones. Kidney Cop is a dietary supplement developed by doctors and pharmacists. It's been proven in laboratory tests to reduce the rate of calcium oxalate crystal growth by 99%. That's right, 99%. Just take Kidney Cop. Satisfaction guaranteed or your money back. You can purchase affordable Kidney Cop today by visiting Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com. Yes, you can start enjoying life again. Purchase Kidney Cop at Amazon.com, Walmart.com, or KidneyCop.com today. These statements have not been reviewed by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Sponsored by Calcium Oxalate Labs, Inc.
We are Tulsa's severe weather station, 1023 KRMG.
Higher elevations with 9.5 inches of ground clearance paired with sure-footed symmetrical all-wheel drive standard. It has rugged all-terrain tires, off-road wheels, and advanced dual-function X mode to help get you through deep mud, snow, and gravel. Plus, 97% of Outback vehicles sold in the last 10 years are still on the road today. The 2025 Subaru Outback Wilderness. Adventure elevated. Longevity based on Experian automotive vehicles in operation versus total new registrations for model years 2014 to 2023 as of December 2023. Ferguson Subaru keeps your car running right with complimentary maintenance included. Just off the Elm exit in Broken Arrow.
When drains back up, Roto-Rooter shows up. Hello, Tulsa. We're your local Roto-Rooter, the longest-running plumbing and drain service in Green Country. Trusted by generations, we've been keeping your homes and businesses flowing smoothly for decades.
We are fast, safe, and always professional. That's why our customers count on us again and again. And we're proud to say we know many of you by name.
From emergency clogs to routine maintenance, we've got the tools, the team, and the track record you can count on.
Thank you for calling Roto-Rooter.
To our loyal customers, thank you for trusting us. And to our other neighbors, give us a call and see why Roto-Rooter is the most recommended name in Northeast Oklahoma.
Call your local Roto-Rooter today, and let's keep things flowing.
Call Roto-Rooter, that's the name. And away go troubles down the drain. Roto-Rooter, Roto-Rooter, Roto-Rooter.
Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon, bringing you a 3-hour audio masterpiece sponsored by the fine folks at Prevagen. Prevagen is for your brain. And if you want to use it, get tickets to see me in Pottstown, PA, August 9th. That's going to be a hot one. Pittsburgh, November 22nd. San Luis Obispo, November 28th. Vegas, November 29th. All those tickets available, foxacrossamerica.com. But wait, there's more. Tickets went on sale today. If you're listening on 97.1 FM Talk out in St. Louis, we are going to be in Chesterfield, January 24th. That's a real thing. That ticket link is live at foxacrossamerica.com. Same goes. If you're listening on WBEN up in Buffalo, we're going to be in North Tonawanda, April 24th, 2026. And that is also on sale as we speak. foxacrossamerica.com. As far as the weekend goes, I am not making I got to tell you, as we're trying to put together the Fox News Saturday night program, I'm not making a lot of progress because we just keep getting more sound and more things. Nancy Pelosi is speaking at a youth summit today. The Democrats are trying to win over the youth vote, the Gen Z vote. So they trotted out an 85-year-old Nancy Pelosi. I mean, I don't, doesn't she? I mean, who is she going to talk to? You're winning back the youth of America. At least have her address people old enough to trade stocks. You know, if she can give you a couple of stock tips, yeah, she's the best keynote you're ever going to get your hands on. But if you're a, 18, 19-year-old, you're just looking at this woman speak going,
Nancy Pelosi is a total dingbat.
They got Kamala on the bill, too. She's supposed to speak as well. They're in this weird place because Kamala wants to run for governor. That's, the scuttlebutt out in California. But at the same time, she harbors ambitions of getting into the 2028 race where she'll be running against Gavin Newsom instead of a Republican out in California. And the only thing you realize when you listen to the list, it's like, they got Newsom. They got Kamala. AOC is going to run. Wes Moore is going to run from Maryland. The more you look at this list, J.B. Pritzker wants to get in, Elizabeth Warren is hanging up a banner in her campaign teepee as we speak. And the more you look at the list, the more you realize the Democrats' best option in 2028 is probably Joe Biden.
I agree with that.
I don't know that he does. But Hunter threw his hat in the ring. And we're going to talk Hunter a little bit later in the show with my wife, Jenny Fala. We got some Colbert stuff to get into as well because we got another revelation from that jackass. And Instagram influencer Charles McBee, a man followed by millions of people around the world, headlines the next hour of You and Me time on a big Friday episode of the one and only high-flying, death-defying Fox Across America with your main man, Jimmy Fallon.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty. So you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
Greg is a real Prevagen user, and this is his story.
Hi, I'm Greg. I'm not an actor. I'm just a regular person. 8 years ago, I just didn't feel like I was on my game. I started taking Prevagen, and I want people to know that Prevagen has worked for me. Give it a try. I wanted to help you just like it has helped me.
Prevagen, at stores everywhere without a prescription. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Testimonialist was compensated for their time.
Step up to the plate and add your favorite players to your lineup with Prize Picks. The best place to cash in on your favorite sports. The app is simple. Pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 2,000 times your cash. Download the Prize Picks app today and use the code ROAM and get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. That's code ROAM on Prize Picks to get $50 in bonus promo funds instantly when you play $5. Win or lose, you'll get $50 bonus credit just for playing. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks. Run your game. You do have to be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
From the Regent Bank Studios, KRMG FM Sand Springs, KRMG Tulsa. News is next on 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. We are 102.3 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk. Tulsa's KRMG News starts now.
Live from the KRMG 24-hour Fox News Center, I'm Kyle High with team coverage of our top stories. A new Wallet Hub study on the states with the best and worst school systems is getting the attention of at least one state school board member. Becky Carson brought it up at this week's meeting. Oklahoma was ranked 50th, only ahead of New Mexico on the list that includes D.C. She mentioned one district's job listing for a school wrestling coach that put the words "with teaching" after it.
And if we make high school wrestling coach the priority,
and not the teaching position, we're staying at 50th in the state.
State School Superintendent Ryan Walters told Channel 4 he's concerned with outcomes, not spending. But the Wallet Hub study says Oklahoma ranks low in both spending and test scores. And another phase of Owasso's 2025 street rehabilitation project starts Monday.
Heads up, drivers. Starting Monday, crews will begin work on 116th Street North between Memorial and North 97th East Avenue as part of the 2025 street rehabilitation project. The project includes repairing the road bed, milling the surface, laying fresh asphalt, and adding new striping. During the early repair phase, traffic will be down to one lane with flaggers guiding drivers during the day, but the road will stay open at night. Once the asphalt work begins, a full closure will be needed, and the city will give you a heads up on social media before that happens. The city of Owasso asks that you please slow down in the area, watch for workers, and follow all signs and flaggers. Crystal Kelly, 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
Tulsa's most accurate and dependable forecast is coming up next. KRMG News Time, 7:01.
See into the future of your commute. Our traffic updates are like a crystal ball, revealing the best and worst routes in Green Country.
The ramp into downtown is still closed to stay on the downtown loop.
They need to go all the way down to 244 to get around that mess on Highway 75.
Sign up for traffic alerts on the KRMG app right now. We are 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's traffic station.
Don't miss the Sig Days of Summer sales event at Action Arms this Saturday. Clear your calendar because the Sig reps will be on site, showcasing their latest products at Action Arms this Saturday. There'll be free swag and giveaways while supplies last, so come early. Plus, the SIG teams will be on hand to answer your questions. Don't miss the SIG Days of Summer event this Saturday, 10 to 6 at Action Arms, located on Mingo, just south of 51st.
You got trucks, a whole fleet. You gotta keep them running right on the street.
Oklahoma summers can be really hard on one or a fleet of vehicles. Summer heat is the one thing that can cause overheating, dead batteries, and air conditioning problems. Get a summer tune-up and an AC check at Tulsa Gas Tech today. Don't forget, Tulsa Gas has one of the best front-end guys to inspect your fleet of vehicles.
Fleet service done right, ASAP. Bring your trucks, bring your cars to TGT.
Tulsa Gas Pros are on hand to repair a single vehicle or an entire fleet of vehicles. TGT technicians can diagnose and troubleshoot engine, transmission, and suspension issues. They repair shocks, struts, and do alignments. If you don't do the maintenance today, as Tom says,
you'll do the repairs tomorrow.
Get more info about fleet service at TulsaGasTech.com.
Fleet service done right, ASAP. Bring your trucks, bring your cars to TGT.
Guys, did you know your testosterone level impacts your energy, libido, sleep, weight, hair loss, mood, and even ED? And right now, Revive Men's Health Tulsa will check your testosterone for free. They've helped thousands of men since 2011 feel and perform better. They're so confident they can help you, they even guarantee it. Schedule your free testosterone test, exam, and consultation today. Call 918-488-0000. That's 918-488-0000. Or visit ReviveMen'sHealth.com.
Hey, it's Matt, your leaf filter trusted pro. Gutters are an often neglected part of the home. They're also one of the most important. Clogged, overflowing gutters can cause serious problems like foundation damage or basement flooding, which can cost thousands of dollars to fix. Let's face it, cleaning gutters yourself is not only a hassle, it can be dangerous. But when you get Leaf Filter, you'll never have to worry about cleaning clogged gutters again. Get started today by visiting leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free inspection. If you decide to move forward, we'll professionally clean, realign, and seal your gutters before installing our patented stainless steel micro mesh system. Leaf Filter keeps out everything but the water. And it's backed by a lifetime transferable no clogs warranty, so you're protected for good. We're in your neighborhood and ready to help. Visit Leaf Filter today for a free inspection and estimate, and you could save up to 30%. Visit leaffilter.com/deal. That's leaffilter.com/deal.
At Melia Advisory Group, our advisory team is dedicated to helping you make informed, confident decisions about all of your financial planning. 918-794-9290 or MeliaAdvisoryGroup.com.
1023 KRMG has Tulsa's most accurate and dependable forecast.
The heat and humidity rolling on as we head into the last weekend of July, back into the 80s this evening after 9 o'clock. 95 tomorrow, 95 Sunday. A pop-up thunderstorm possible, a 10% chance, higher risk southeast of Tulsa. Upper 90s highs Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. I'm Chief Meteorologist James Edelot for Fox 23 and 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
We have sunny skies, 92 degrees with a heat index of 96. I'm Kyle High, 1023 KRMG, Tulsa's News and Talk.
From everywhere USA, it's Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon.
Oh, hot damn, here we go. Second hour of what has been an absolutely stellar episode of Fox Across America with Jimmy Fallon.
He is so full of shit, this guy.
Okay, well, I'm allowed to embellish a little bit. I'm still mourning Hulk Hogan from yesterday, and in this hour, Charles McBee, a superstar influencer over on Instagram, a guy who is famous for doing a Remember When post. That's what he does every day. He talks about 80s nostalgia. Charles McBee is going to be joining us to mourn the loss of Hulk Hogan. We'll also get into the loss of civility and decency in Washington, D.C. There's a lot of politics, there's a lot of wrestling, and there's a lot of fun to be had in this hour of Fox Across America.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
Well, 888-788-9910, the phone number. Even if you can't dig it, you're all welcome. You don't have to agree with me to be a part of the show.
I'm not angry.
People are angry.
You're just another dirtbag.
That's the one I'm thinking of.
Jimmy, you're a pathological liar.
See that? We put through all kinds of people, including my mom. But 888-788-9910. It is Friday. You live in the greatest country in the world. We got a lot to be excited about. And I know you might not love the climate in Washington, but I wanted to circle back to this a little bit before we get McBee on here, because McBee is a comedian. And, he's a viral Instagram influencer. But he didn't get into comedy to fight about politics for a living. Sadly, it's what a lot of our profession has descended into. And it's one of the reasons I've been laughing so hard at the cancellation of Stephen Colbert, is because he and all of his late night buddies are finally getting the bill for being activists who masquerade as comedians. They're getting the bill for doing the antithesis of what Johnny Carson once told us, which is that you're not supposed to attempt to steer people's opinions when you are an entertainer. I'll play you this clip. It's from Johnny Carson on CBS in 1979, but understand why I'm playing it. Okay, I host a late night show on Fox. It's called Fox News Saturday Night. It's on every weekend at 10 p.m. If one of you to watch, you would double our ratings. Double them.
That's true. That is true.
I kid. The show's obviously doing okay. But the show is something I've wanted to do since I was in fifth grade. I had a fifth grade teacher named Mrs. Pascana who asked me, she told me, she's like, tell your parents you want to stay up late and watch The Tonight Show. She did that. She's like, go home, tell your parents you want to stay up late, watch The Tonight Show, and I'm going to ask you a bunch of questions about it once you've seen an episode. And I was like, oh, my, that's crazy. All right, yeah, totally. So I watched The Tonight Show, and Johnny Carson did his little monologue, and, Ed laughed along.
You are correct, sir.
That whole thing. But understand, the next day at school, Mrs. Pascana, my fifth grade teacher, was like, I wanted you to watch The Tonight Show because I think you could host one of those shows. And it was crazy to me as a fifth grade kid. And for all I know, she just felt bad because she saw my report cards and realized I had no other options in life. She was looking at me like,
are you stupid or something?
But she knew I was stupid. And maybe she was like, I've got it. Entertainment, comedy. We'll put them into that. But as a fifth grade kid, I began watching The Tonight Show. It's around 1986, 1987. Carson stuck around another 6 years. But I was so fascinated by the ability of comedy to bring people together. I was so fascinated by the ability of late night to give the world this common culture. Hey, we all know these celebrities. Let's get to know them. Let's play a game with them. Let's tell some jokes about them. Let's kind of roast the news of the day. That was the whole hook of late night, which was to put people to bed with a smile on their face. And from fifth grade on, I was like, I'd love to do that someday. And my North Star has always been the upside of comedy, which is unity. You're throwing a party. When I did a lot of press, when I got Fox News Saturday night, all those years later, okay, I said it every single time. I said, I know it's on Fox News. I'm not doing a right-wing Fox News show. Comedy does not have a political party. Comedy is a party.
Oh, you're right. And when you're right, you're right. And you're always right.
And at a truly good party, you're not asking the hot chick showing cleavage out front who they voted for.
Hubba, hubba.
You're just getting them into your party. At a truly good party, you're not trying to sway people's voting preferences, which is something Johnny Carson warned entertainers about. Here it is.
Do you get sensitive about the fact that people say he'll never take a serious controversy?
Well, I have an answer to that. I said, now, tell me the last time that Jack